Hey guys, we have officially had news of the new expansion. It's the 4th set in Shadowverse Worlds Beyond, which is now upon us. And I can reveal it is called Skybound Dragons. Now, in this video, we're going to dive into the cards that have been revealed, including a brand new keyword. So let's dive right in. Now, this new keyword is called Skybound Art. You can also get Super Skybound Art. And just like any keyword, certain cards have this attached to them. Now, say you've got a card with Skybound Art and it's in your hand. Basically, what it'll say is it'll say Skybound Art and it'll give you an ability. So it could be, you know, deal 4 damage or whatever the ability is. So the way that that gets triggered is the card will have its own gauge, and every Skybound Art card has its own gauge, right? And that gauge will fill up a bit like the mode counter, right? How it fills up, and then Shamnacha, once you've done 10, she kind of gives you the buff to the modes. It's a similar kind of idea, but the way that your Skybound Art gauge fills up, you can't trigger the Skybound Art ability until it's at 10, and you can't trigger Super Skybound Art until you're at 15. So how does it fill up? Well, essentially, the number in that gauge is the total number of turns plus number of times you have evolved while that card's in your hand. So say you had a card in your opening hand with this ability from the start of the game, right? And let's say it got to turn 5, and let's say, no, turn 6, and let's say you've used both of your standard evolves. Well, that's turn 6 plus 2 evolves, so your Skybound Art would be at 8, yeah? And remember, you can't trigger any Skybound Art abilities until you've hit 10, and Super Skybound Art abilities until you've hit 15. So these are going to be quite late game abilities overall, so it's worth bearing in mind. All right, let's take a look then at the actual cards themselves. Okay, so really cool. I'm looking forward to playing with some of these cards. Let's dive into Forestcraft first of all. So Captain Iridescent Archer. So as you can see, it costs 4, it's a 3/2, and it's got a fanfare that says Super Skybound Art. Remember, we need that to be at 15. Evolve this follower and deal 3 damage to the enemy leader. So basically, if you draw this really super late game, it gives you this additional 3 damage to face, and you get to evolve and therefore obviously attack a trade into an enemy follower immediately, which is pretty cool. It says, when the follower evolves, do this 7 times. Deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower. So you can either, in the earlier game, spend an evo point to do that, and that will basically, you know, kill something that's kind of got 7. This is also very good, by the way, dealing with things that have barrier and stuff like that, because it's 7 lots of 1 rather than just 7 damage. But obviously, if you draw it in the late game, it gives you this additional benefit. Pretty cool. All right, let's have a look at the next one, Swordcraft. So first of all, we've got Zeta and Beer, Crimson and Blue. I really like the art on this one, so shout out to that. Now, the fanfare ability here says, summon a Zeta and Beer, Crimson and Blue. And then it says, enhance, give it Bane, and follow a storm. So dead simple. It's a 3/2 with Rush, and it summons a copy of itself. So you get 2 3/2s with Rush for 4, which is pretty good. If you play it for 6 instead, then you'll get 1 that has Rush and Bane, good for the hard removal, and 1 that gets Rush and Storm. So you can imagine someone's put like a big beefy ward up. The first one can come on and take it out with Bane, and then the other one goes foot face and does Storm. Kind of reminds me a little bit of the dogs, the Hound dogs in Sword, which cost 3, and at 6 you get 2 copies of them, but it's just like way better, right? Obviously, what you get in here is just much better. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good card, and it is a legendary as well. Next up, we've got Gold card Knightly Ardor. This is a mode card actually for Swordcraft, which I think is that the first one. Well, I suppose obviously some of the loot cards you could choose between, but this has actually got 4 different modes, so a very flexible card. It does cost 5, it's a bit expensive, but it says give the leftmost allied Swordcraft follower on the field can attack twice per turn. So this could be pretty devastating, like if you've got something large that's stuck to the board in the previous turn. This is really gonna be pretty devastating, especially if you can hit face twice with it. Number 2 is give all allied Swordcraft followers on the field +1/1 and barrier. So if you've got a wide board, maybe you've done something like Amelia, and then you attack him with everything, and then you can like play this again and barrier back up. I don't know. It is a bit dependent, this one. Obviously, you've got to have a board because this does cost 5 to play. And then number 3 is recover 2 player points and 1 evolution point. Now, that's essentially costing you 3 to get an evo point back. This is the first time. This is the first card in the game that allows you to recover evolution points. So that in itself is really interesting. I'm not sure how to judge this, like if it's going to be worth it. Bearing in mind you've got Swordcraft have got access already with Gildaria to be able to do extra super evos. So Swordcraft could just become the evolution king of the classes, right? Like it can just evo and super evo more than anyone else. Maybe that's kind of one of the themes here. Anyway, either way, the final mode is restore 6 defense to your leader. And yeah, it's pretty interesting because they don't really have any burst heal. Certainly anything less than 7 cost that heals a large amount. So very flexible card, but it is quite pricey. Let's take a look now at the Runecraft cards. So first of all, we have got Cagliostro. These names, they were just made for me in my Yorkshire accent, weren't they? 4 player points, 5 attack, 3 health. Fanfare, gain 2 health sigils, so that's pretty good. Add an Ars Magna to your hand. And then it says, so let's just see what the Ars Magna does first. So that's a 1-cost spell put into hand, and it just deals 2 damage, and then restore 1 defense to your leader. So deal 2 damage, select an enemy, so it can go face as well, and then restore 1 to your leader. So that's a very good 1-cost, I think. And don't forget, it's a spell, right? So you're obviously triggering spell boost with this. Okay, so that's what that does, and that's just fanfare, no need to pay Evo or anything like that. However, Skybound Art evolved this follower, all right, and Super Skybound Art, you gain the crest Cagliostro. Okay, so the crest says, at the start of your turn, for the cost of Earthright 1, you add another Ars Magna to your hand. So, man, it makes me think of Rose Queen, right? Because basically there's no countdown, there's no limit to this crest. So basically every single turn, you can... It automatically happens if you've got Earthright, it just starts draining your Earthright. This is pretty cool, actually, because how many games do you often end up where you just have this pool of Earthright and you're not doing anything with it? This will just automatically start sapping it and give you this spell, which obviously, because it does 2 damage potentially to face, gives you a kind of slow burn damage. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I mean, it is a super Skybound Art thing, though, so you're not going to get that till very late in the game. Feels like it might be a little bit slow to me, to be honest. But just the standard fanfare ability, I think this is a pretty good 4-cost card. Yeah, I quite like it. Next up, we've got the Alchemic Flare. It's a 2-cost spell. It says select an enemy follower on the field and deal it 4 damage. Gain an Earth Sigil. So 4 damage and an Earth Sigil for 2 is pretty good value, I think. It does have the Skybound Art. Remember, that's if you've if you filled your gauge to 10. It says deal 2 damage to the enemy leader. So again, the idea, the theme that we're seeing here is if it gets into the late game where these Skybound Arts come online, you're basically doing damage to the leader. So you're able to, it's helping you to kind of close the game out. The cards are getting extra abilities to help you close the game out. All right, now Dragoncraft. We've got Meg, the girl next door. Her fanfare says, if you have 10 for your Skybound Art, you super evolve this follower. So a free super evo, making it a 5/4. And it says, whenever a 2 base cost allied follower enters the field, give this follower ward. So that's not dependent on the Skybound Art. That's just standard, right? So you play this, and whenever a 2 base cost comes on, whilst this is on the field, it'll get ward. I'm not sure how good. I'm not sure if I like this card, to be honest with you. Obviously, we've got quite a few good 2-drops in Dragon. That's for sure. Is giving them more that big a deal? I don't know. Not too sure about that card, to be honest. Next up, we've got Abysscraft. This is Belial, the Archangel of Cunning. This is an absolutely awesome idea. It says fanfare, deal 10 damage to all other followers. So, first of all, just on 7, right? He's just a board clear. Amazing AoE. Doesn't cost you an Evo to do it either. So in that sense, it just makes it a good tempo card to play on, a good control card and a good tempo card to play on 7. Now, if you've got Super Skybound Art, remember you need 15 for that. It says gain crest, Belial, Archangel of Cunning. And what this crest does is this countdown of 4, and at the end of that, it does 20 damage to the enemy leader. So it's just OTK. Job done. Now, if you Super Evo Belial, you actually advance the count of your crest by 1. It's not a massive benefit for the cost of the Super Evo, but it is significant, right? Because obviously this crest is a massive impact, right? It's basically saying win the game, you know, countdown, win the game. Now, I am not sure like how quickly we can get this online. I don't know whether like turn 13 is the earliest you can get it online. Let me know down in the comments. Maybe your maths is better than mine, but it's certainly a super interesting idea. And in something like Take 2, this card's going to be utterly insane. Next up, we got Havencraft. I really like this card. This one is Vera, the Luminous Primal Knight. She is an 8-cost 6/8 ward that can't take more than 3 damage at a time. That's a really cool ability, guys. Like, a big unit. Finally, like, this might be the first big unit that I feel like does what big units do in other CCGs, right? Because, like, you can just play this down, and they can't just, I don't know, hit you with a super evoed Q1 or Norman or something, right? Because they hit you with a super evoed 8 attack and they only do 3 damage to you. It's super. It's actually a proper ward unit. It's like a proper roadblock. I love this design. This is cool. I want to see more of this, especially in Haven. I think this is very, very cool. And don't forget, it's a ward unit as well, right? So Ward Haven getting a little bit better with this. Very, very cool. Anyway, it's also got a fanfare that says select 2 enemy followers in the field and banish them. It is followers, so you can't do it to, you know, to artifacts and amulets and things like that. But still, we all know how good banishing followers is. It can get around the portal craft things that say can't be destroyed, because banish isn't destroy. Yeah, we all know from playing Odin how good banish is. Last word things don't get triggered. This is a very cool card, man. I personally really love this card, and it kind of brings just kind of like standard control Haven back into play as well. So I really love this card, and it does also have Super Skybound Art as a kind of added benefit, which is Super Evo the target. So you just get to Super Evo it without having to spend a Super Evo point. So a lot of these like Skybound and Super Skybounds, they're kind of like icing on the cake is the way to think of them. They're not like fundamental. You've got to ask yourself, what does this card do without that? Because a lot of the time it's going to be in your hand and you're not going to be able to trigger it. So that what they are is kind of like icing on the cake, and usually when the game has gone really late and you've probably already used your Evo and Super Evos as well. Love that card. Might be my favorite so far. Alrighty, next up, Portal. We have got a Beelzebub, the Supreme King. Beelzebub? Am I I don't know, guys. I don't know. Oh, we need like. Can I just be called Bub? Anyway, either way, this is a 9/9 for 9, and it says select 2 enemy followers. This is a fanfare ability. Select 2 enemy followers on the field. Remove all abilities from them, and deal 9 damage. Give the enemy leader takes 1 more damage. So it's obviously very good removal, and again, stopping things like, you know, like imagine doing this on Wilbert, for example. It wouldn't trigger its last words effect. But what's really interesting about this card is the wording at the end of this. Give the enemy leader takes 1 more damage. So it's not a crest, right? I think this is the first card in the game that can just give an enemy leader an ability. I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong in comments, but I think this is the first of its kind. And what's pretty cool about it is it says takes 1 more damage. So imagine you Super Evo, you trade with a unit, go over the top and ping for 1. Now you're going to basically do 2 damage. If you hit them in the face with something that has 4 attack, you're going to do 5 attack. If you hit them with a spell that can do 3 damage, you're going to do 4 damage. So it's always just that extra 1, which I think is very, very cool. I don't know how to rate this card overall. I do think that the fact it doesn't cost you an Evo or Super Evo is really good. Yeah, I kind of like it. But I'm very keen to kind of like test it out. I'm not sure which deck it fits into best. So last up, we have got a neutral card. This one is going to hurt your head, guys. It's called Sandalphon, the Primarch Successor. Do really like the art on this one. So this one says activates in your deck. At the start of your turn, if allied followers have evolved at least 6 times this match, invoke this card. When this card is invoked, you gain Crest, his name, and return this card to hand. And so basically the fanfare, sorry, if you've got Super Skybound Art, you do this 5 times, deal 2 damage to a random enemy. So you'll kill something big, right? Like it does 10 damage essentially to something big if you're in that late game. But the big thing here, obviously, is that it gets invoked, bringing that back from the classic Shadowverse, and it's all about the crest. And the crest says, at the end of your turn, restore 1 defense to all allies, count down 2. Yeah, I'm not sure about this card. If this feels like a little bit kind of like something that's going to go into meme decks, if I'm honest with you. But it's not costing you anything, is it? Like with the invoking, it's like you have to have evolved at least 6 times. So it kind of feels like something that comes after, because a lot of the Skybound Art abilities trigger like free evos, right? So this feels like really, really late to me. I don't know. I'm not sure this is going to be any good, but I do appreciate the artwork. So that's it for the cards, guys, so far. I do believe that we've got more over the next week. Every day we're going to have new cards being released. I think Ignidius is revealing a Dragon Craft card tomorrow, which is pretty cool. So yeah, let me know in the comments which of the new cards is your favorite. I believe on the 29th of October we'll be able to get our greasy hands on these cards. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I'm ready for set 4, boys. I don't know about you. So thanks for all the support, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao for now.